The day I changed. I was an old man sitting by the window. The sun was warm and the air was quiet. I looked outside and saw people walking, talking and laughing. But inside I felt empty. For many years I tried to change the world. I wanted people to be kinder. I wanted life to be fair. I wanted everything to be perfect. But no matter how hard I tried, nothing changed. The world was still the same. I felt tired and angry. I blamed people for my sadness. I thought, if only they changed, I would be happy. I waited for them to be better, to be kinder, to be different. But the world did not listen to me. One evening I sat alone and thought deeply. I asked myself, what if I change myself instead of others? What if I stop trying to fix the world and start fixing myself? That night I could not sleep. My mind was full of thoughts. Had I been looking at life the wrong way? Had I wasted my years trying to change something I could not control? The next morning, I made a decision. I took a deep breath and let go of my anger. I stopped blaming others. I stopped trying to fix the world. Instead, I decided to fix myself. At first, it was not easy. My old thoughts returned again and again, but I reminded myself, peace comes from within. Slowly, I started to feel lighter. The world was still the same, but I was different, and that made all the difference. Days passed, and I tried to live with my new thoughts. At first, it was difficult. I still wanted people to change. I still wanted the world to be fair, but every time I felt angry, I stopped and took a deep breath. I told myself, the world will not change for me, but I can change how I see the world. It was not easy, but I kept trying. One day, I went to the market. It was crowded and noisy. People pushed each other. Some were rude. I felt my old anger return. But then I stopped. I smiled and thought, they are just like me. They have their own problems. Instead of being angry, I chose to be patient. Instead of complaining, I chose to be kind. And for the first time, I felt something new. Peace. That evening, I sat by the window again. The sun was setting and the sky was orange and pink. I thought about my life. For many years, I fought with the world. Now I was learning to accept it. I still had a long way to go, but for the first time, I believed that true change starts from within. Days turned into weeks, and my heart grew lighter. I no longer expected the world to be perfect. I no longer waited for others to change. Instead, I focused on myself. One morning, I walked to the park. The sun was warm and the trees danced with the wind. I sat on a bench and watched people pass by. A young boy was crying because he dropped his ice cream. His mother looked tired and frustrated. Before, I would have thought she should be more patient. But now I understood. Life was not easy. People had struggles I could not see. Instead of judging, I felt compassion. I walked to the boy and smiled. "Don't be sad," I said. "One day you will have another ice cream." He looked at me with big eyes and stopped crying. His mother gave me a tired but grateful smile. As I left the park, I felt something strange. Happiness. Not the kind that comes from money or success, but a quiet, deep joy. I was not trying to change the world. I was simply choosing kindness. That night, I looked at myself in the mirror. I saw the same face, the same wrinkles, the same old eyes. But inside, I was different. I had found something I never had before: peace. One evening, I sat by the window, watching the world outside. The street was full of people. Some walked fast, lost in their thoughts. Others talked on their phones, their faces serious. Life moved quickly, but I felt calm. I thought about my past. I used to blame others for my problems. I used to think life was unfair. If someone was rude to me, I was rude back. If things did not go my way, I became angry. But now I saw everything differently. A knock on the door interrupted my thoughts. It was my neighbour, Mr. Adams. He was an old man, always alone. "Can I sit with you for a while?" he asked. "Of course," I said, making space for him. We sat in silence for a few minutes. Then he sighed. "Life feels empty sometimes," he said. I looked at him and nodded. "I used to feel the same," I admitted. "But then I stopped trying to control everything. I stopped expecting others to be different. I focused on myself." He listened carefully. "And did it help?" he asked. I smiled. "Yes," I said. "It changed everything." He was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled back. "Maybe I should try that too," he said. That night I realized something important. Change does not happen in one day. It happens in small moments, in small choices, and sometimes, by changing ourselves, we help others change too. The next morning, I went for a walk in the park. The air was fresh and the sun was warm. I saw children playing, their laughter filling the air. I saw an old couple sitting on a bench, holding hands. Everything felt peaceful. As I walked, I thought about my journey. I used to be full of anger. I used to fight with people, trying to change them, but now I knew better. The only person I could change was myself. I sat on a bench and watched the birds. A young man sat beside me. He looked tired and sad. After a while he sighed and said, "Life is so hard." I turned to him and said, "Yes, it can be, but we make it harder when we fight it." He looked at me, confused. "What do you mean?" he asked. I smiled. I used to be angry at the world. I wanted people to be kinder. I wanted life to be fair. But then I realized I cannot change the world. I can only change myself. He thought for a moment. "So what did you do?" he asked. "I started small," I said. "I stopped blaming others. I focused on being kind. I let go of things I could not control, and slowly I found peace." The young man nodded. "Maybe I should try that," he said. I smiled. "It's not easy," I said, "but it's worth it." As I walked home, I felt light. I knew I was on the right path. And maybe, just maybe, I had helped someone else start their own journey. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. My life became simpler, but also happier. I no longer tried to control others. I no longer let small things make me angry. One evening, I sat by my window and watched the sunset. The sky was painted in orange and pink. The world felt calm, and so did I. I thought about my past. I had spent so many years fighting, trying to change people. I had wasted my energy on things I could not control. But now I understood. True peace comes from within. One day I met an old friend. He looked surprised. "You seem different," he said. "I am," I replied with a smile. He asked, "What changed?" "I did," I said. "I stopped trying to change the world. Instead, I changed myself." He looked thoughtful. "And are you happy?" I nodded. "Yes," I said, "for the first time in my life, I truly am." That night, I closed my eyes with a light heart. I knew that life was not perfect, but I also knew that I had found my own peace, and that was enough.